Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently heading over towards Bop. And we're currently looking at this encounter here, or rather this lack of encounter. We're working on circularizing this at this point. So we're going to warp on forward to the periapsis here, at which point we will start up this burn. It'll only be a 13-second burn, so that'll be absolutely fine. Hey look, our view here is kind of working. The periapsis is working, the apoapsis is not. It is still very confused about that. Well, we're 16 minutes away from this burn. Let's forward a little bit more. We've got 12 minutes now, and this is all looking good at this point. So, I just want to make sure here, we're going this direction. Bop is going this direction. Yes, we are not going retrograde to Bop. Okay, I just wanted to make absolutely certain of that now that I've had a good night's sleep. I don't know what was going on last episode, but it was not ideal. 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, let's drop this apoapsis right on down. It doesn't know what our apoapsis is. Now it does. Apparently it struggles when it's over 1,000, or like when it's over 1,000,000 kilometers. Okay. I mean, I guess that explains it. Sure. That makes sense now that I think about it. Although, it shouldn't. They should definitely support higher numbers than that. Going up to like megometers, but, you know, whatever. It's KSP2. What are you going to do? So at this point, we need to set Bop as our target, and we're off by 0.2 degrees. That's probably close enough. Let's start thinking about a rendezvous here. Let's bring this on in. What would this look like in terms of orbitals? It's non-terrible, but we're definitely going to want to change the timing on this a little bit. Right about there or so gives us an encounter. And what encounter is this? It's not perfect, but we don't expect it to be perfect. Let's drop this down a wee bit, down to about here to be a little bit more equatorial. And we could even dip down a little lower than this because this guy is down over here. So in theory, we could bring it down a little further, but I'm not going to be too concerned about it. It's going to be very, very finicky. Yeah, you can see here 1 meter per second changes this extremely significantly. And that's 1 meter per second right there. That's a meter per second. Okay. So this is going to be very finicky, no doubt about that. Let's go a bit retrograde and drop this down. We're at 133 kilometers right now. Can we pin this open, please? Okay, now it's pinned open. I didn't click on it. Okay, sure. Let's continue to drop this down to around 50 kilometers. That's plenty good enough. Well, we could go even further, but we're not going to accurately hit this. And that's an impact trajectory? Okay. Yeah, let's keep it somewhere around here. We're not going to hit this accurately. It's good enough. So we're going to angle for this. This is going to be a 12-second burn. Okay, and it'll happen in about 10 days. Not too shabby. So that looks good overall. Yeah, this is absolutely fine. So this is going to be in 84 days. This is going to be in 31 days. So this orbital period is like 100 and some days. Sure. We're definitely going to be altering that a fair amount. And we are in position for this burn right now. So let's just make our way on into Bop. Cool. So we're going to commence this burn very shortly here. We've got about 22 minutes. We'll continue to go forward a little bit. Should drop us about 3 minutes away. Okay, it dropped us 40 seconds away. It's very unpredictable how far the auto warp is actually going to take us. It's kind of strange. I don't really have an explanation for that. 30 seconds away. 20. 10. And 7. 6. These are very long seconds. 5. 4. 3. 2, 1, and mark. Okay, Let's bring this right on down. We're going to hop over to the BOP sphere of influence, because we're going to need to be here. But this is going to be very, very sensitive once we get into position. Let's be zoomed out over here, and we're going to keep an eye on this periapsis compared to this point. I'm just kind of ignoring this bar right now. Okay. Cutting throttle. We're now going to bring this back. This is an encounter. And we're just going to very gently burn it. It's not a great encounter right now. Let's bring this in. This is going to have to do. It's definitely not ideal. It's 214, but we can make whatever orbital changes we need to. It's going to be very cheap over BOP. So I'm not concerned about that. We're just going to take this encounter. It will do. As I said, we weren't going to hit that very precisely. That was always not going to be a thing. So we want this orbital line, and we want to warp to here in 28 days. Okay, so BOP is going to head around here, and next time it comes up should be our encounter here. Excellent. I want to warp specifically to here, but it might stop our warp early again. We'll see. It did indeed. We're going to warp to here. Let's get inside. This is barely warping at all. Okay, stop warping now. We are now in the sphere of influence of BOP, and I want to, right up over here, create a maneuver plan, and we want to get into an orbit. We're going to have to do a pretty big braking burn, and that is expected. It's pretty difficult to get encapsulated in BOP's orbit, but here we are. So 269, that's really not too bad. This is going to be about a little under 300 meters per second to circularize. It's absolutely fine. So this is the or rather, not the encounter, but this is the orbit that we're in. That'll be actually fine for intercepting this point. It's just going to be mildly awkward in terms of the Terminator line, but it's not, I think, going to be too bad. We'll have to wait till this guy's, up over here, and that should be okay. So we'll align to this burn. We've got lots of delta V left. 285 meters per second to circularize here, and then we're going to line ourselves up for a landing. I suppose we can run our crew observation here over BOP. We haven't been to BOP before, so that looks good. I do want to come over here and make sure that I remember to turn down the eject velocity on this guy. If I can collect the correct thing. Yes, this coupler here. So I want to turn this down to like 1 kilonewton. There we go. I just want to push it out very, very slightly, but not much at all. But that won't happen until after we land. Okay, so we're pretty much lined up for this burn. Now we need to warp forward until we are at our periapsis. And this periapsis is going to be a little higher than I want. We're going to burn a little longer than what we have here. We're going to take our periapsis down to probably around 50 kilometers or so. So let's warp forward a little bit here. 30 seconds. 20. 10. And 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Mark. We are burning. Excellent. So we're going to get this encapsulated here into a roughly circular orbit, but we're not actually targeting a circular orbit here. I want to drop this orbit a little further. I'm not sure what the minimum safe orbit over BOP is, but I'm going to target 50 kilometers here. I'm betting it's probably not that high. Okay, so we're watching for this periapsis to come on down. I'm going to cut our throttle a bit. 120, 110, 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, and this is about 50. That'll do. So now at this periapsis, we are going to circularize here. Is going to be the goal. So we're going to drop this guy right on down. Okay. That flipped very, very quickly indeed. It's going to be something kind of like this. 27 meters per second. That's not bad. So let's align for that burn. That will be absolutely okay. And we're going to need to drop our apoapsis on down here, because we're in an elliptical orbit at this point. And then we're just going to have to wait for this to line up. Or do an inclination change. I mean, that would be fine. It's not like we have a shortage of DV here. We have so much delta V. It's absolutely okay if we want to do that sort of a change. So we'll probably work towards doing that, but for now, this will be relatively okay. We just want to land near-ish to this point. The real question is, how flat is this going to be? Well, it kind of doesn't matter. SAS should definitely be able to hold us upright on BOP without any problem. The real question is, will we be draining electric charge as we do it? And the answer to that is a definite maybe. But let's just get into position for this burn, warp our way on around, and this will all be good. So we're just going to hop into position here. We lowered time warp to 100x due to altitude. Yes, that's to be expected. We do see that this is coming over into the day side. That's fine. I'm wondering about our surface velocity. 150. Okay, that is not bad. Considering we're going to shave off 27 meters per second here, it's going to end up being something along... Yeah, we're at 4x now. We're probably going to have to hop back to the KSC to do the lineup, but that's okay. We're going to be somewhere under 150 at like 140 meters per second surface velocity. That's not bad at all. I'm not too concerned about it. I don't even know if we're in a retrograde orbit or not. It literally does not matter. So this is going to be a little bit to get us to the burn point at 4x warp. No doubt about that. That's going to take a little bit of time. Let's put this into orbital mode, which should be exactly the same as target mode at this point. And we're definitely fairly close here. We're currently at 40 kilometers from the ground, but 60 kilometers from sea level. So, yeah. This should be a safe orbit here, I'm pretty sure. But this thing is kind of lumpy, so we'll see. In theory, we're not going to remain in this orbit for very long. Emphasis on in theory. But we've got another 6 minutes here until we manage to get into position for this burn. And we do actually have to wait until we get to the periapsis here. This is a roughly appropriately timed burn. Roughly. So it is a little unfortunate, but we do have to go forward on 4x time acceleration only for 5 minutes or so here. So that is, of course, going to be a little bit over a minute in real time, assuming this is running at 1 second per second, which we should not assume. That is definitely not an assumption that we should make. So that is certainly noted. So this is all looking relatively good here. Yeah, it looks like it's actually going to be a little bit closer to about 150 meters per second for orbital velocity, but it really doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. I don't care. Like, the amount of DV that we need to get around on BOP is so minuscule that it really legitimately does not matter. We've got 4,000 kilometers per second. 4,000 kilometers. Oh my. 4 kilometers per second in these outer tanks right here. And then another roughly 10 kilometers per second right here. We have so much. It's completely fine. It does not matter in the slightest. So we're currently about a minute and 40 seconds away from this burn, and that is looking fine. Now a minute 30. Now a minute 20, and it is going down at a reasonable-ish rate here. No doubt about that. So a minute away, it's going to drop us out of auto warp relatively soon. Should be about now. Okay, there we go. Drops us out of auto warp. I'm going to continue to warp a little further here. We're about 20 seconds away. Now 10. Okay, and let's go to 6, 5, 4. I'm not going to full burn this. 3, 2, 1, and mark. Okay, we're going to burn it about here, 20-ish% thrust. We're just dropping that apoapsis right on down. We're going to call it good here. That looks fine. That is roughly circularized, and that looks solid. So at this point, let's check out the location of our landing site. Well, it's definitely still in the Terminator here, and I want to head back to the KSC at this point. So we're going to do exactly that, because we're going to need to do a little bit of warping here, assuming that we're in a safe orbit, and we're going to keep an eye on that. This is a very lumpy rock that we're over. So as it rotates, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that and seeing if we need to make any orbital adjustments. With any luck, we won't have to. We'll see. So we'll hop over to the tracking station. And as long as we're in here, we might as well clean up some of our debris, I suppose. Let's get rid of these guys. Phenomenal. And we'll get rid of this debris as well. I'm not going to be going through all of this and getting rid of all of our debris in all of these planetary systems, but for now, we're just going to get rid of any of that debris that we see on our way over to Bob. So, we're going to focus on the FlySafe 24 here. In fact, I want to focus on Bob, and we're going to keep an eye on this orbit, but this looks very safe to me. So that looks okay. We're now going to warp forward here. This is 10x. This is 50x. 100x, 1000x, and we can see this is definitely rotating here. We are in a retrograde orbit. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. Orbital velocity is so low that I really don't care. So we're going to need to let this orbit a lot, but we are getting to a point where we're almost lined up over here. Cool. Okay, I'm going to come out of this for now. We are pretty much in a position where we're ready to do this. So now we're going to control the FlySafe 24. Excellent. And we are, of course, over BOP here. What I want to do at this point is sometime around... We're pretty much directly over it. But sometime around here or so at this apoapsis, I'm going to create a maneuver plan. And we're going to drop this guy right on down. I want to overshoot this a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up doing something kind of like this, in theory. We might make some small adjustments to this a little bit later on, but it'll be something along those lines. Boy, that's very high up. Okay, that's noted. So we're probably going to make some adjustments to that on the way down, but that is our current desired trajectory. We'll see if that's still the case in 41 minutes when this burn starts up, because there will be a little bit of rotation between now and then, but I'm expecting this to travel this way. Man, that moves a lot, because it's quite a lot below quote-unquote sea level. So it's going to be hard to aim that with this tooling system. But I think our best bet is to aim it something, you know, kind of like this in theory, but moving our camera moves this a lot. This is not a very accurate projection. So that is noted, and we're probably going to have to make some alterations as we get into position here. Okay. Let's warp forward the roughly 40 minutes that this is going to need to be. Right. This is going to be 40 minutes at 4x. Okay, back to the KSC it is. That is going to take like 10 minutes to go through, and we're not doing that. So instead, what we're going to do is we are going to head to the KSC, and we're going to warp that a wee bit faster, for sure. We're going to head to the tracking station, and we're going to go down to BOP. So... Jewel, BOP, I want to focus BOP. Okay. Now we're going to warp until we're roughly like here. Although, if we... I just hit control. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Back to the KSC we go. I meant to focus the FlySafe, because I wanted to see if it showed us the exact timing of the maneuver node when it was focused. Because it didn't show us that, which is... a choice, for sure. It's not a good choice, but it is a choice. It is one of the choices of all time. Now the KSC isn't loading. Okay. Why is it stuck here? Hello, KSP2? Are you okay? I can press the escape button and it makes a sound. I hit F5. It saved the game and then brought us back here. We're moving at 0 meters per second. I also can't zoom. No active vessel. Back to the KSC. The KSC doesn't exist. To the tracking station. Okay. I think things might be okay, but this is very strange. So I want to focus on the FlySafe 24. It's showing us the impact, but not the actual maneuver node. Okay, wild. Well, we're going to warp forward a ways. This is very strange, but whatever. The game appears to be very confused about life in general. Okay, well, we're just going to warp on through here at 100x, and we're going to come out of this warp sometime around now or so. Okay, I'm going to quick save here just in case, and now we're going to control the FlySafe 24. We have an active vessel. We are traveling. We're pointing the correct direction. I think we're okay. That was an interesting set of events. No doubt about that. Let's auto-warp forward towards this burn event, and we can see, yeah, this is going to be... Honestly, I think we're going to want to change our inclination change here a bit to be a bit more like this. Not really having much of an inclination change at all. Because that did move under us a fair amount, so that seems reasonably fine. Okay, we also might want to increase this a little bit and have this guy be slightly down like that. Now, that said, we want to be on this angle to have a correct view of what we've got going on here. So, in theory, we do want to be about here. In theory. But it's very hard to tell because of this distance here, right? So, that is going to be very interesting. Our goal right now is to just get into position. We can see this is about 40 kilometers away. And we're going to start up this burn here in about 50 seconds. It'll drop us out of auto warp shortly. So we've got about 30 seconds here. And I'm going to continue to warp us forward. But gravity on BOP is extremely low. It's going to take us a while to travel the 30 kilometers down to the ground. And actually, I overshot this a bit. Can we be burning, please? Thank you. Okay. We're just checking in here, and it should be something about like that. It's going to take us a while to travel down to the ground here. This position is currently 7 minutes away, and it's actually going to be a little further than that. So we're just going to angle ourselves over to retrograde, but I am going to put a cut in here, and the actual landing will be next episode, because it's going to take us a ways past the point of putting a cut in. So I'm going to do that, and next episode we're going to do our landing, our ground events, and start heading home. That is the ideal scenario anyway. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.